During the First World War, animals played an unexpectedly vital role in the conflict. Before advanced technology dominated the battlefield, soldiers relied on horses to provide mobility and strength. Cavalry units, riding across rough terrain, often determined the success of maneuvers in ways that machines could not replicate. But horses were not the only animals that served on the front lines. In fact, there are accounts of unusual participants, including a baboon who reportedly assisted in wartime activities. The unpredictability of war required creativity and ingenuity, and military forces often turned to unconventional solutions. One of the most critical challenges during World War I was communication. Frontline positions were often isolated, cut off from headquarters, and vulnerable to enemy interference. Telephone lines were fragile and easily destroyed by artillery or sabotage. Radio technology, though increasingly used, was not always reliable in the field. Setting up new radio stations in active combat zones was both dangerous and impractical. Under these circumstances, armies sought alternative methods to relay messages quickly and securely. Carrier pigeons became an essential part of this system. These birds could fly over enemy lines, traverse difficult terrain, and reach distant headquarters faster than human runners. The U.S. Army deployed roughly 600 carrier pigeons during the war. Each bird was carefully trained to return to its home loft, carrying messages from the front lines. Among these pigeons, one bird distinguished herself above all others. Her name was Cher Ami, which means dear friend in French. Cher Ami would become one of the most celebrated animals in military history, saving countless lives through her courage and determination. Before delving into the mission that made Cher Ami famous, it is important to understand the broader context of communication during the war. As soldiers advanced deeper into enemy territory, radios became less practical. The dense forests, rugged hills, and extensive trench systems interfered with signals. The U.S. Army Signal Corps, responsible for coordinating communication, turned increasingly to homing pigeons. Homing pigeons have remarkable navigational abilities, allowing them to return to a specific location over long distances. They could reach speeds of up to 50 miles per hour. While quick and reliable, pigeons were vulnerable to enemy fire. German soldiers were trained to identify messenger pigeons and distinguish them from ordinary birds. Many pigeons were shot down before completing their missions. Yet, even with these dangers, carrier pigeons remained a superior option compared to other methods. Cher Ami was a female pigeon, donated to the U.S. Army Signal Corps by British pigeon enthusiasts. She had already proven her value by delivering 12 critical messages prior to her most famous mission. Each message she carried helped coordinate troop movements, request reinforcements, or relay vital information. Her reliability earned her a reputation among soldiers as a dependable messenger. Cher Ami's most important mission occurred during the Meuse-Argonne Offensive in 1918. This offensive was one of the largest and most intense battles of World War I. It involved nearly 1 million Allied soldiers and stretched across dense forests and rugged hills in northeastern France. Among the troops involved was the 77th Division, composed of 9 companies totaling roughly 540 men. During the offensive, a unit of the 77th Division became isolated in the Argonne forest. They were cut off from their fellow soldiers and surrounded by German forces. This group would become known as the Lost Battalion. Trapped on a hill, they faced dwindling supplies of food and ammunition. Water was scarce, and soldiers risked enemy fire whenever they attempted to reach a stream. Communication with headquarters was impossible through conventional means. Major Charles Whittlesey, the commanding officer of the 77th Division, knew that immediate action was needed. Desperate to save his men, he decided to send a message using carrier pigeons. The first pigeons released were shot down by German soldiers. Some were even struck by friendly fire as artillery units mistook them for enemy targets. With all other options exhausted, Whittlesey turned to Cher Ami, their last remaining homing pigeon. The message he attached was urgent and concise. It read along the road parallel to 276.4. Our own artillery is dropping a barrage directly on us. For heaven's sake, stop it. The stakes could not have been higher. Cher Ami took flight under intense enemy fire. German soldiers immediately targeted the pigeon. firing bullets in an attempt to prevent the message from reaching headquarters. A bullet struck Cher Ami in the chest, and she fell from the sky. Soldiers on the ground watched in disbelief as the bird appeared fatally wounded. Miraculously, Cher Ami regained her strength and continued her flight toward headquarters. Cher Ami arrived at her destination despite the injuries she sustained. She had been blinded in one eye, and her right leg, which carried the critical message, was barely attached. Even in this weakened state, Cher Ami fulfilled her duty. The message reached the commanding officers, who immediately halted the artillery barrage. They redirected their firepower toward the German forces, providing critical support to the Lost Battalion. The battalion, which had faced near certain annihilation, was finally rescued. Of the original 540 men, only 194 survived the ordeal. The survivors credited their lives to the extraordinary courage of a single pigeon. In recognition of her heroism, soldiers carved a small wooden leg for Cher Ami to replace the one she had lost. The French government awarded her the Croix de Guerre, one of the nation's highest military honors. General John Pershing, commander of the American Expeditionary Force, personally escorted Cher Ami back to the United States. Her presence in America became a symbol of bravery, determination, and loyalty. Cher Ami lived for another year before succumbing to complications from her injuries. After her death, she was preserved through taxidermy and donated to the Smithsonian Institution for public display. Interestingly, the Army did not realize Cher Ami was female until after the preservation process. Her body remains on display, a testament to the small yet crucial role animals played in the war. Cher Ami's story highlights the ingenuity and resilience of both humans and animals under extraordinary circumstances. Carrier pigeons like Cher Ami were not the only animals to serve in World War I. Horses, dogs, and even cats contributed to the war effort in various capacities. Dogs were used to carry messages, deliver medical supplies, and detect enemy forces. Horses provided mobility for cavalry units and transported artillery, food, and supplies. Cats were employed to control rodent populations in military camps and trenches. All these animals played indispensable roles in maintaining the functionality of armies. In an era before reliable electronic communication, animals filled the gaps left by technology. They bridged the divide between isolated units and central command, often at great personal risk. Cher Ami's heroism serves as a reminder of the unpredictable nature of warfare. Even the smallest participant can have a decisive impact on the course of events. Her mission underscores the value of courage, loyalty, and determination in the face of overwhelming odds. The story also reflects the ingenuity of military planners, who recognized the potential of natural abilities to overcome technological limitations. Homing pigeons became a symbol of hope for soldiers who were cut off from communication. Each successful flight offered the possibility of survival and reinforced the morale of troops in perilous situations. Cher Ami's courage inspired not only the men she saved, but also generations who learned her story in the years to come. The Meuse-Argonne Offensive, where Cher Ami became famous, was a pivotal moment in World War I. It was the final major offensive involving American forces during the conflict. The scale of the battle, with nearly 1 million soldiers engaged, highlighted the intensity and destructiveness of modern warfare. The Lost Battalion's ordeal is emblematic of the dangers faced by units in isolated positions. Commanders had to make rapid decisions under extreme pressure. Communication failures could mean the difference between life and death. In this environment, the courage of animals like Cher Ami was not merely symbolic but had practical life-saving consequences. Cher Ami's legacy extends far beyond her individual mission. She represents the broader story of animals in wartime. Her actions exemplify the intersection of natural ability, human ingenuity, and heroic resolve. The pigeons of World War I were more than messengers. They were active participants in the life or death struggles of the battlefield. Their contributions were critical in circumstances where technology had not yet caught up with military needs. By studying Cher Ami's story, we gain insight into the creative solutions soldiers employed to overcome seemingly insurmountable obstacles. Even today, Cher Ami's story resonates with people worldwide. Her bravery continues to inspire exhibits, books, and educational programs. She embodies the idea that heroism comes in many forms, and that courage is not limited to human actors. For the soldiers of the Lost Battalion, Cher Ami was not merely a bird, she was a lifeline, a companion, and a beacon of hope. Her name, meaning dear friend, was perfectly chosen, reflecting the bond she formed with those she saved. The lessons of Cher Ami's heroism endure, emphasizing perseverance, duty, and the profound connections between humans and animals in times of crisis.